let's see. Something that we didn't talk about, but I will mention it here, is the word ion, and this is in 12.5. Most of the things in 12.5 we've already covered. Okay, 12.5 is really just summarizing things, but let me just mention here, ion is the word for I or well, right? Remember that? Okay, this is the I diphthong, which can contract and become a. That is to say, a sereyod. Okay, so if I want to say something like the eye of Sauron, for example, in Hebrew, the eye of Sauron, what would ion's form become? What's the construct form? Ion's going to lose its stress when it becomes thing 2. Here, I'll go ahead and Sauron. Okay, there's Sauron. The eye of Sauron. Can I leave it ion when it becomes thing 1 in the construct chain? Nope, I'm going to lose the stress here. And what happens to the I diphthong? AY? It becomes what? It's like bayit. What did bayit become? House. House of bread. Think house of bread. How do you say house of bread in Hebrew? Beit lechem, right? So ayin becomes ain, sereyod. Okay? So the eye of Sauron is ain, Sauron. Okay? Ayin becomes ain. Absolute construct. Okay? Now, let's imagine that Sauron has 2 eyes. I know that's hard to believe, but imagine. Sauron has 2 eyes. Okay? What is the dual form of ayin? Well, what's the dual ending? It's not im, it's ayim. Remember ayim? Yad, 1 hand. Yadayim, 2 hands. Okay? Sus, 1 horse. Susayim, 2 horses. Susim, 3 or more horses. Okay? So, what would happen here if I wanted to make I dual? It would be, so ayin has to now not use the final noon. So ayin nayim. Okay? Where's my stress going to be? I'm stressing the I in ayim for the dual ending. Sus, susayim. Yad, yadayim. So am I going to leave the stress on I over here when I make it ayinayim? No. So the accent's going to be lost. Well, I'm going to get contraction of the AY diphthong in this situation. So ayinayim becomes sereyod again. Anayim, right? That's the contraction. Anayim. So that's the dual absolute of ayin. This is 2 I's. Everybody say that with me. Anayim. Okay. Now here's what we didn't talk about. I'm going to just mention it real quickly here. What happens to the dual ending ayim? Oops, there's a kirik there. What happens to the dual ending ayim when I need to make it construct? What's the dual construct going to become? There's good news here. It becomes Canadian as well. In other words, it looks just like the masculine plural construct. So how would I say the eyes of Sauron? Anayim becomes Anay. Excellent. Anay. So I am A. Okay? So Anay Sauron. No accent over here. Notice that these are both open and propratonic, aren't they? Can I reduce any of them to vocal shava? I can? Can I reduce a sere yod to a vocal shava? No, because they're historically long, right? Yeah, so normally I'd reduce these types of syllables to vocal schwa, but not these vowels. Okay? All right, there you go. So that's what you do with the dual forms. All right? They look like masculine plural construct endings when you make them construct. All righty. Let's take your handout now and go on to that part of the lesson. In the handout you have, we walk through what's referred to as the syntax of the construct chain or the bound phrase. That is, when you see this sort of a construction, what are some of the rules that govern how these two nouns can co-occur? We've looked at the form of the construct, but now we want to also talk about some other matters that relate to how they can interact together. So the first thing we see here is that there is a fixed or an invariant order of nouns. That is to say, the construct noun will always be thing one, the absolute noun will be thing two. So the absolute noun always follows the construct noun. You won't see the order reversed there, okay? These two nouns, if there are only two, we're going to see that you can have more than two nouns in construct chain, but typically it's two. But they're going to form a bound unit, and that's why some people use the expression a bound phrase. So they form a bound unit where almost never does anything come in between the construct noun and the absolute noun. The construct chain functions as a single constituent in its clause. So just some examples here. Prepositions. If I have a preposition like in or on or over or to, and I want to then make a construct chain the object of the preposition is going to attach to thing one, but it won't attach to thing two. I can't stick it here on thing two because nothing can intervene. Nothing can come between the two here. All right. So example, I have Beit HaMelech, just the house of the king. And then if I want to say in the house of the king, the bet preposition is attached to the front end of thing one. Okay, it doesn't get attached anywhere else. So Beit HaMelech, or Beveit HaMelech, in the house of the king. Okay, the whole construct chain functions as a unit. So remember how we said the entirety functions as if it were one thing, in something. What's the something? The construct chain, house of the king. Now, attributive adjectives. What did you learn about attributive adjectives? Where do they have to go in relation to the noun that they modify? They always go after, okay? So if I have an attributive adjective and I want to modify something in the construct chain, I have to wait until the construct chain is done before I can add my attributive adjective. So take a look at this expression. Beit HaMelech HaTov. Beit HaMelech HaTov. This is a construct chain. Beit HaMelech. That's thing one and that's thing two. The house of the king. HaTov is an adjective. It's an attributive adjective. It has to go after the noun that it modifies. But notice that in my translation, I'm indicating here that the thing that's good in the construct chain is the house, right? It's the house that's good. It's the good house of the king. Normally, I'd want my attributive adjective to go right after the thing it modifies. But can I say Beit HaTov HaMelech? And the answer is no, because in construct chains, nothing can come between thing one and thing two, okay? These two form a unit, and any modifiers have to go after. All right, so I can't do what I normally do with the attributive adjective. All right, let's talk about the second item here. Yes?
How do you say the house of the good, or the good house of the good king?
Okay, yes. Well, you probably wouldn't use a construct chain to say that, but I will tell you this. This is ambiguous between the good house of the king and the house of the good king. That could go either way. In other words, when you have to put your attributive adjective at the end, it is capable of modifying either of these, and the gender and number of the adjective, you want to then find what does it match. But in this case, It matches both. So it's formally ambiguous, right? If, on the other hand, I had something like Susat, Hamelech, Hatov, what gender and number is Susat? It's feminine singular and construct. So could Hatov be modifying that? No. So the only thing it could modify would be the king in that kind of a construction. Okay? So it would be the mayor of the good king. Okay? And I think I've got some more examples down below. Okay, now the matter of definiteness. This is a very important issue with construct chains. The construct noun, thing one, never, ever has the article attached to it. Okay? You will never have an article attached to thing one, to the construct noun. Even if the construct noun is definite, it cannot be articular. So, how do you know whether to translate thing one as the blank of instead of a blank of? And the answer is to look at thing two, the absolute noun. If thing two is definite, thing one is definite. If thing two is not definite, thing one is not definite. And to put it another way, thing two's definiteness always determines the nature of thing one's definiteness. All right? So you can't look at thing one, the construct form, and go, oh, there's no article, it's not definite. And the reason being that thing one is never definite no matter what. Okay? So let's look at some examples. Here I have Beit Melech. All right? Say that with me. Beit Melech. Is Melech articular or not? It's not. It's indefinite. Therefore, the indefiniteness of thing two commits you to the indefiniteness of thing one. They both hang together this way. They are both indefinite. And I would translate this as a house of a king. Okay? A house of a king. Now look at the second example. I have Beit HaMelech. Say that with me. Beit HaMelech. Is thing two definite? Yes. And that makes thing one definite, even though there's no article on thing one. They hang together. So they're both definite if thing two is definite. So I'm going to translate this as the house of the king. All right? I can't translate this as a house of the king. If thing two is definite, thing one's got to be definite as well. Okay? So the house of the king. Now, look at the third example here. I have Beit Adonai. Beit Adonai. This is a construct chain as well. Is thing two definite? It is. Is it articular? No. Normally, making something articular makes it definite. Sus is a horse. Hasus, the horse. The article makes it definite. Why is Yahweh definite? Because it's a proper noun. Exactly. And proper nouns are specific. People, persons, places, things. Okay? So if I have a proper noun in thing two position, then it is considered definite. And if it's definite, thing one is also definite. Okay? So I'm going to translate Beit Yahweh as the house of Yahweh, not a house of Yahweh. So definiteness in construct chains really is a package deal. Either both are indefinite or both are definite. But never do you have a real construct chain with one member definite and the other indefinite. So the question then arises, how can you say something like a horse of the man or the horse of a man? You got to be able to say that, right? So how do we do it? Hebrew uses a circumlocution. What is a circumlocution? It's a roundabout way of saying something. Okay? Hebrew uses a circumlocution with the preposition lamed, and the nouns are in the absolute state. There's an S here, a straight S. You can omit that. So take a look at these two examples. First of all, I have Sus, la'ish. Sus la'ish. Say that with me. Sus la'ish. This is a horse. La'ish to. Is there an article in there? Yes, there is an article that's been swallowed, right? A horse to the man. Notice that a horse is indefinite and la'ish is definite. This is the way I can have one thing definite, one thing indefinite. I have to use the preposition lamed in between the two nouns. So this is not a construct chain. The first noun is not thing one. It's not a construct form. They're both in the absolute state. Okay? A horse of the man is one way to translate this, and it's literally a horse belonging to the man. The horse is indefinite, the man is definite. Now take a look at the second example. Say this with me. Hasus le'ish. All right. Is sus definite here? Yes, this is definite. Le'ish. Is ish definite? No, there is no article swallowed in le'ish. You see the vocal shava here? That tells you there's no hey whose vowel has been left behind. This is just the normal pointing on a lamed preposition. So this is indefinite. So, definite horse, but an indefinite man. If I want to say the horse of a man, I've got to use the lamed preposition. And notice that sus here cannot be the construct form of sus. Why? Because I can never have the article on a construct noun. Right? It's one of the things we just learn. A construct form never takes the article. So these are both the absolute forms of their respective nouns. So the horse belonging to a man is one way to translate this, or simply the horse of a man. So in your translation, these will sound like construct chains, but they are not construct chains. They are just absolute nouns followed by a prepositional phrase with another absolute noun. Now, number 3, attributive adjectives modifying a noun in the construct chain must go after the nouns of the construct chain, as you'd expect, and they have to agree with the noun in gender, number, and definiteness. Remember, however, that the construct noun will not have an article, but it may still be definite because the absolute noun may be definite. So let's take a look at a couple examples here. I have sus, ha, malka, hatov. Let's think about this. Sus is what gender? Masculine singular. How would you translate sus? Horse. Good. Ha malka. What is a malka? It's a queen. Melech is king, malka is queen. So that is feminine singular. Okay? Is queen articular? Yes. So in my construct chain, the absolute noun is definite. So how am I going to translate sus? It's got to be the horse. It's definite because the absolute is definite. So it's the horse of the queen. Now look at hatov. What gender is that adjective? Tov has 0 ending. So that's masculine singular. Okay? So it's an attributive adjective. It's gone after the noun that it modifies. But since we have a construct chain, it has to go after the whole construct chain. But which noun does it modify? The sus or the malka? It modifies the sus. Okay? So how am I going to translate this? Yes, it's the good horse of the queen. You see how that works? Okay? The good horse of the queen. Now look at the next one. I have susot, hamalka, hatovot. What gender and number is susot? Feminine, plural. Hamalka, feminine, singular. Good. This is articular, so both of these are definite, right? So I've got a construct chain. So how am I going to translate susoth hamalka? Well, they're female horses, so it's the mares of the queen, right? Good. And then we have this attributive adjective, hatovot. What gender and number is that? Feminine, plural. Why is it articular? What's that? Because it's definite because what it modifies is definite. Well, which one of these nouns is it modifying? It matches the mares, doesn't it? But wait a minute, mares doesn't have the article on it. That's right, but thing two makes it definite because thing two is definite. So it is agreeing in gender, number, and definiteness. So I'm going to translate this as the good mares of the queen. Okay? All right, look at the next one. Devar hamelech hatov. Devar hamelech hatov. Gender and number of devar is masculine singular. Is that the construct form of davar? That's not the construct form of davar? Really? It is the construct. Yes, because it's got the reduced vowel pointing, right? Normally it's long A, long A. Okay, kametz, kametz. So yes, this is construct. Hamelech is the absolute. It's also masculine singular. The attributive adjective is masculine singular. So what's it modifying here? Yeah, it's ambiguous, right? So I've got two possibilities. What is it? It could be the good word. Now, why am I saying the word? Because it's definite. That's right. The good word of the king, right? Or it could be the word of, and the adjective could be modifying the king, the good king. Okay? So it is ambiguous. Okay, so Eshet hamelech hechakam. Eshet hamelech hechakam. What is the word eshet? That is actually one that you don't really learn until we get to the vocab list. This is actually from the word that you do know, isha. Okay? This is the feminine singular construct form of isha. You see the tav ending, something that you've learned, is the second most common feminine singular ending, right? Comment say first, final tav second. So this is feminine singular and construct. Hamelech is what gender and number? Masculine singular. Is eshet definite? It is, because thing two is definite. So how would I just translate eshet hamelech? The wife of the king. The wife of the king. Hechakam, that is an adjective. What gender and number is that? Is it plural? Is there an eem ending here? Yep, it's singular. Good. Is it articular? Yes? That means it must be modifying hamelech, right? Really? Just because it's articular? No, it's because it's masculine singular, right? It's articular because both of these are definite, right? But it's masculine singular because only one of them is masculine singular and it agrees with that one. So it's modifying the king. So how am I going to translate this? It's the wife of the, what's hakam mean? Wise king. Okay? That makes sense? All right. Now, just as with this prior one here, we have eshet again. And eshet is the feminine singular construct of isha. Isha. So this would be the wife of or the woman of, right? Now, let's just remind ourselves that's feminine singular. And it's thing one. Hamelech, what gender and number is that? It's masculine and singular. Good. And then I have this adjective over here, and it's hakama. Just looking at the ending, you tell me, is that masculine singular or feminine singular? Feminine singular. Excellent. Now, this is not hokmah. Hokmah means what? Hokmah. It's a noun. Wisdom. Hakam is the adjective, and it means wise. Hakama is the feminine singular adjective. It means wise. All right? So, Eshet Hamelech is my construct chain. Thing one, thing two. The adjective here must be modifying one of the members of the construct chain. Which one is it modifying? It's modifying thing one. Okay? So I'm going to translate, well, before we have the adjective, how would I just translate Eshet Hamelech? The wife of the king. Add hahakama, and it's the wise wife of the king. Okay? Got that? Now, let's look at the next one here. I have Divrei Hashofet Haraim. Say that with me. Divrei Hashofet Haraim. Here's my thing one, thing two. Construct chain, construct absolute. Divrei is what gender and number? Look at the Sarah Yod. That's the Canadian ending. What do I usually see that? Masculine plural, eh? Hashofet is masculine singular. So put these together. How would I translate that construct chain? The words of Hashofet, the judge. Remember, Shofet is judge. Hashofet, the judge. Okay, now the adjective over here is Haraim. Haraim. What gender number is Haraim? It's masculine. Look at the eem ending. That's masculine plural. Very good. So, of the two, which one must the word evil be modifying? It's got to be modifying the first noun, the construct noun, because the second noun is singular, right? And attributive adjectives agree with their nouns in what three ways? Gender, number, and definiteness. Oh, wait a minute. Divrei doesn't have an article on it. Oh, it is definite? How? What's that? Because thing two is definite. Remember, can you ever find an article on thing one? Nope. The construct noun never takes an article. I have to always consider thing two to know, is it definite or not? That's definite. That makes number one definite. And that makes the attributive adjective have to be definite. So how am I going to translate this now? It's not just the words of the judge, but it's the evil words of the judge. Okay? So clearly evil is describing the words, not the judge. Probably a good judge, just happens to have evil words. Right. Okay.